Let's see if I can find you on there. Let's see.
Okay, I'm trying to restart it. Let's see if it'll let me restart it. You know, I was trying to find it before we started the show, and it wouldn't show the stream.
It says upcoming, but it's not.
And now it says,
Yeah,
did you find it?
I found us.
Okay.
But it's not, when you look at it, it shows upcoming. It doesn't show that it's live.
Something's wrong. Like, which, you know, I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so I could see, I'm watching you.
Wrong.
Say it, I just heard you say something's wrong.
Which, you know, I mean, I'm not. Oh, you guys. It's entertaining, though. I have to say.
So at least we're not taken down from there. That's at least good, right?
Yeah. Thank you, YouTube.
There we go. There we go. People can watch it after Clint Westwood's in. I guess people can watch us after, right, on the replay.
I think it's because I did hashtag privacy and said something about the Bill of Rights. That's probably why it got blocked.
Can't talk about the Bill of Rights. Don't want people to know their rights.
Shame on you for talking about the Bill of Rights. That was really weird. Okay.
You know, it's funny, Lisa. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he said he always considered himself a libertarian, but he used to consider himself too more of a Democrat. He said because he worked at so he had involvement with a college or whatever. And he said he considered himself back in the day a liberal Democrat, but he ended up would vote more libertarian. He said now he was like, the people are so wacky and kooky, he can't even align with them at all.
Well, I think these labels are what has divided all of us, because if you do think about so they just released more files on the JFK assassination today. That was another thing. And today is the anniversary of Superman movie, and Trump put out his NFTs today. If you didn't get an NFT, make sure you go get an NFT from Trump. I think that's going to be.
How criminal is it though that they're not releasing files to the people for 60 or 59 years or whatever? That should be like a wake-up call to people. People should be like, wait a second. We're technically all these people's boss because it's our tax money that pays them. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Then why are you keeping all this stuff from us? So it's
why are we just now finding out?
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. That is crazy to think about. Well, and Trump also announced a free speech policy plan, supposedly for 2024, but it included a digital Bill of Rights, which I thought, well, that's ironic that today, is the anniversary of the Bill of Rights, and Trump's announcing plans for a digital Bill of Rights, which it's crazy to me. And Sean brought this up earlier on World Blockchain Roundtable that his son had shared on our show, called him or sent him a message while we were on the show on Tuesday, that I think it was maybe Illinois or Ohio, some state had passed some law that you could shoot a officer who illegally came in your home or something like that.
He was talking about that today too.
Yeah, and he talked about it on the show this morning, and it was like, no, that's always been. You don't need to pass a law of that. You're defending you're protecting yourself in your own home. That's not. You don't need a law. That's your right. That's your God-given right to protect yourself in your home. And that's kind of that thing where it's like, at what point are they almost tricking you, where they're like, oh, you need to have a law to something you're entitled to by God. You don't need a law for that. That's like common sense. Like we need to pass a law that you can breathe.
it's crazy too with the
you know?
digital stuff, how much of our rights they've taken.
Yes.
And they're like, and they just use the excuse, oh, because it's digital. It's like,
Yeah.
and then the whole choke point thing that I've talked about a lot, the
Yes.
Operation Choke Point, that never went away. They're like, okay, that went away. Well, the banks and stuff, financial institutions still follow it to a T.
Tell people what that is.
That was started in the Obama administration, and basically they targeted industries that they didn't like, that were not illegal. They were legal industries, but they were politically unfavorable. And they said, we're going to cut off all their ties to the banking and financial institution, utilizing payment processors, people like, PayPal, Visa, everything in the legacy financial system was subject to it. So they claim choke point went away in 2017, and because I think Trump did try to get rid of it, but the banking system still follows it to a T. It never went away. I never saw any change. I actually saw it get worse since then, not better.
Yeah, they just changed their direction of who they're going to target. For a while there, it was the conservative Christians, Tea Party. Then we saw them go after the people that were supporting Canadian truckers. Like, it just depends on who they want to point
who they want to target. Yeah. And so with digital stuff, they just feel like they have so much more. They feel like they have so much more power to track us, and they feel like it's their God-given right. We're the regulators, we're the overseers. We need to monitor all this, and it's, well, don't we the people have rights to privacy? And then they're like, sure you do, but if you want to come into our system, that's when I get into the whole thing of, well, we need to build solutions that make this stuff obsolete, because they're just getting, like it says, Operation Choke Point. They're choking us more and more and more. That's why in 2017, crypto was way better. You could buy in exchanges without, for smaller amounts, no KYC, was easy, in and out. Now they made it so much more hard. They put so many more guardrails in place. And they're like, oh, this is for investor protection. Investor protection? Well, why were they propping up FTX and if it was for investor protection? What's up with that? So nothing they do has our best interests at heart. That's what I always, that's my baseline.
Johnny's shirt. Yes.
That's always what I go back to. I'm like, okay, what are they doing? Nothing they do has our best interests at heart. That's like my baseline of like where I go back to, because they're never doing it to better us, I feel like. Thank God there is some people in Congress that do protect crypto, like that Warren Davidson guy. There is some others that talk about the right to self-custody and these rights we have. So those people are heroes, but the establishment and the banking industrial complex is so against them. They're like, the power these people feel is sickening.
Yeah, there was the guy yesterday. Oh gosh, I don't know what day it was. Day before.
I think a lot of it has to do with too, Lisa. I actually just got my hands on, not that they're in good shape, they were like crinkled up, but they were still, nonetheless, they're cool. I could bring one of them down even. Silver, $1 that was a silver certificate from back in like maybe it was.
Oh, really?
And if you look on it, it says United States note. This amount is in deposit at the Treasury. So if you think about it, it was a different system, right on and it looks like $1 bill. You know what? Let me go get it upstairs.
Yeah, I'm gonna play this video again. That this guy, Tom Emmer, he literally calls out that FT. He says that the centralization was the problem, and that crypto, the decentralized, is what what solved or what showed
Yeah.
the criminal acts. So I'll play that while you grab that real
Okay,
quick.
cool. Give me a minute.
Cool. Yeah. Because there are some good guys that are fighting the fight. This isn't about all government bad, but it's about getting behind the voices that are fighting for us. And let me see what is on Twitter. Let's see here. Make sure I got my volume up for you guys.
And Mr. Ray, I appreciate you mentioning your concerns in the beginning of my questioning about the concentration of power in a small group of individuals with no oversight. That is the exact problem that open and permissionless technology like crypto and blockchain solve. It solves for the problems of centralization. You stated in your testimony that you've never seen such a, quote, utter failure of corporate controls at every level of an organization, from the lack of financial statements to a complete failure of any internal controls or governance whatsoever, close quote. FTX had disastrous or even non-existent systems for accounting, audit, cash management, cybersecurity, human resources, risk management, and other unacceptable management practices that currently make your job to uncover the facts quite difficult. Fortunately, the immutable characteristics of public blockchains that some people would care not to understand in this committee allowed the crypto community to reveal Sam Bankman-Fried's fraud, and the on-chain public record will assist law enforcement moving forward. I encourage my colleagues to understand Sam Bankman-Fried's con for what it is: a failure of centralization, a failure of business ethics, and a crime. It is not a failure of technology. I worked across the aisle since I came to Congress, so the future of crypto reflects American values, the same way the internet does today. For the most engaged members of Congress on crypto policy, the FTX collapse reminds us of why we care so deeply about this technology. Centralization is the point. Thank you.
I love that. He says that this technology, decentralization, reflects American values. I thought that was great. Show me what you got.
All right, let's see. I don't have any singles on me, but I have the silver certificate singles. I wanted to compare one against $1. Let's see. So here we go.
Where do you get this? Where do you find a silver certificate? Is this like at an antique or a pawn store or an antique store, or?
No, I found there was, when we bought our house, there was old money that was
Oh, you're kidding me.
And there was some old ones, and then there was just some different stuff. But
so that's like Jersey gold, huh?
Well, these were, a lot of them were like just worthless. They're probably currencies that have no, but these were cool because I was like, oh, cool. Silver certificates. All right. So can you guys see this right here?
Okay. Yes.
So it looks pretty similar to the new dollars.
Yeah.
And it just says at the top, silver certificate.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You see that? It says, this certifies that there is on deposit in the Treasury of the United States of America. Okay. So just think about how people looked at money back then. This was a certificate for silver, and it said that was
through the Treasury, not through the
Treasury.
Fed.
It was on deposit in the Treasury, meaning there was silver being held there, and you could redeem this for physical silver if you want. In the bottom, it says $1 in silver payable to the bearer on demand. That was the point of these notes, a convenient system, but backing by obviously this precious metal. Now the money on it just says Federal Reserve note. I got a $10 bill up here. It says nothing on the bottom except $10. And the top, it says Federal Reserve note. Federal Reserve note. Now, it still talks about the Treasury at the bottom a little bit. The Treasury signs it, but nothing's on deposit with the Treasury. So there's no, if you think about it, it's just obviously they're just telling us this has this value. And to the public,
Mhm.
these bills, these old dollars, I got even another one here. They look like the new dollars to people. Now, I even got an old quarter and a new quarter. Same trick they did with this stuff. Here's an old quarter from 64. Boom, show you guys the back.
Shiny.
Shiny. Has that nice silver bounce. Now's one from 88. Not as shiny, not as much luster.
Mhm.
Feels a lot different, but it looks identical to the naked eye. And
Yeah.
unless you're a expert on this stuff, how would you know? So they basically, you talked about magic, Lisa. They did magic on the public.
Yeah.
The public's like, oh, this is, business as usual. Hey, the stuff still buys me this stuff, even though obviously the 70s had big inflation. And it's a big ruse. So it's a different way of thinking about your money.
Mhm.
A total different.
Westwood says, look at the edges.
Oh yeah, the edges on them. Hold them both up to the.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And the silver, the real one that's shinier, the silver one, is from 64. The other one's from 88.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a big. I just thought it was interesting when I picked this up. I was like, silver certificate is payable in silver. Silver is payable to the bearer on demand,
Mhm.
and then certifies there is on deposit in the Treasury. So it's interesting. Again, the Federal Reserve was involved in this one note. Both these are from 57. They were there already for 44 years. But we weren't passing their notes around just yet. They were in the process of doing the magic on the public, even with the coins. So they initially said, well, these were quarters in the 50s, 60s, or whatever, 90% silver. And if you times this by 4 for $1, it did not equal the constitutional amount that's written into the Constitution. A certain amount of grams of silver is $1. Those were only Morgan dollars that were best. So back in the day, I actually have a Morgan dollar with me. A Morgan, this is
pretty.
This is pre-Federal Reserve, 1896. And this is a legal dollar in the Constitution. This is the exact amount of grams of silver that was required for $1. So they started pulling the ruse over by saying, okay, we'll take some silver out of it. We're still going to give you the metal, but not as much of it. They did that for a while, kind of like pacify the public, put them to sleep. Then they just pulled the plug completely and said, we'll do the magic now. The money still looks the same, but there's nothing in deposit. There's no physical metal backing it. You can't get anything for it. And it's just and their treasury is nowhere to be found other than they signed off on the bill. Doesn't say
interesting. It doesn't. Yeah. There's no deposit. They're just signing off on it.
They just sign off on the new bills. Just Treasury of the United States on the left side and the Secretary of Treasury on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's wild. There's definitely something going on. I mean, Bix has been keeping up with it. I've been watching him, daily. He's got new videos out, tracking the Silver Eagle shortage. And you guys definitely go watch those on roadtoruta.com. I just keep thinking like, any day. Of course, everybody's like, oh, you keep saying that. I don't have any inside information from anyone. I don't have anything, I'm in this with everyone else,
Time frames are tough because there's so much they could do to us to delay things and to distract us, and viruses and different things, and
taxes and printing and all the games.
I think if shit really gets bad enough, they'll stage an alien invasion, and that will really distract the public. Where they'll be like, okay, there was they'll say there was an alien invasion somewhere. They'll do something crazy where people are so focused on that, And meanwhile, they're rolling out the new system. That's, you know, I don't think they could get away with a lot of this stuff in the system now. I think when they roll out the CBDC, they're going to be able to get away with a lot more. And I think they're going to be able to restrict people from buying crypto with their CBDC.
Yeah, I think that you are right on the nose with that, because once that bridge is stopped, I think that was, you know, part of the great infection. And was it Westwood? I think it was Westwood. Yes. Saying, it was last Friday. He was like, everybody pull out your dirty fiat. And what's the oldest bill you have in your possession? And nobody had anything older than I think 2017. Westwood, you're in the chat. Was it 2017? And do you remember that in China, they were burning giant piles of cash or dirty, whatever their wands are or whatever? And they were saying it was from the great infection because they were protecting you. You know, we're from the government. We're here to help. And they were, so that was a way to get rid of, because cash is our friend. Actually, it gives us privacy for transacting. And so what's a great reason to get rid of cash? Well, it's going to make you really sick.
Yeah.
We're here to protect you.
You have to see the people and get the cash. If
yes.
digital,
Yeah.
you don't even have to see them. Yeah, cash. I think we got to get that out there more in the crypto world, that we're pro cash.
Yeah.
And
You said that this morning.
You guys are, I only want cash. I only want cash. A lot of times when I would go into businesses, I would try to talk about crypto. They would be like, I'm cash only, this and that. It's like, I'm not trying to take your cash away.
Yeah.
We're just trying to give you a cash-like experience in the digital world. The problem is where I live, people are really rough. When I would tell people that, they'd be like, I don't give a shit about that. Get the hell out of here, they would say. So most people would have that response. They'd say, I don't give a shit. And because they would say, well, that's never going to happen in their lifetime, they would say. And I was like, you don't know what they could do to us. Like, you have a lot of faith in these people, if that's your attitude. And
well, they didn't understand that you were actually trying to protect them exactly from what they were hating on.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they were wanting to stay in that cash system. And you're like, I know they're going to move you to all digital. And this is the cash version in the digital world. We're not trying to educate you about having crypto in your own possession, not digital ledger technology, not centralized money's value, but having decentralized and in your own possession. And things like Mimblewimble giving you those privacy options. So, and you know, we mentioned that this morning. You know, the perfect example of that is, you know, it's nobody's business what you're doing with, you know, if you need to go to the doctor and you want to have privacy about a procedure or an illness or something like that. You know, we all have justified HIPAA. We understand that your medical records are your private information. That data is your private information. So if you have a transaction,
it's actually required by law for it to stay private.
Right. So then just by making payments that would be on an open ledger would violate that law.
Then it wouldn't be compliant for their system. So they would have to need some type of privacy protocol. See, I love MWeb because it gives you the best of both worlds, I feel like. If you have too much privacy, you can't audit the system. And if you don't have any privacy, then it's a security hazard, it's a tracking hazard. You need a mix of both. We need to be able to audit the system to say, hey, there's this amount of coins at all times. This is what's going on. But we can't see what people are doing in this pool or whatever. That's pool's private, and they have the right to go into that pool and transact for whatever reason they deem fit. But we still know how many.
So like there's this much volume in the pool, but we can't see all the little droplets in the water.
you can
individually.
see what goes in and out of
Mhm.
MWeb, but then when you're in there, you can't see. You can tell transactions are moving around, but you can't see who's moving them to who.
To who?
It's anonymous. And then when you send out of there, obviously it's pooled together. So then they don't know who's who. And as the pool's bigger, the privacy only gets better. So I remember at first when we were excited, there was 1,000 Litecoins in MWeb. And I said, watch, it'll start with 1,000, then 10,000, then 100,000, then 1,000,000. And then I'd expect a good amount of the circulating supply of Litecoins. Now, circulating supply, a lot of Litecoins are in cold storage, this and that, but the Litecoin that's trading around, that's moving, that people are using, I would suspect in the future, a good amount of that would be in MWeb. And already we're seeing today, there was 53,000 Litecoins in MWeb.
Oh, okay. I saw about 4 million the other day on a tweet.
Yeah.
I don't know what
growing
that
rapidly, and
translates to.
it's only in Litecoin Core right now, which is a full node, which is good because it gives you more privacy. But ultimately, we want it built into mobile wallets that people use. And like Charlie Lee was saying, you don't want people to really have to think about what's MWeb, this and that. You want people just to use it. Hey, I want privacy for this. I'm going to go in here and do it. You don't want them thinking about what's going on in the back end. So as it's built into the easier wallets that people use, and important is going to be mobile wallets, because mobile wallets are the most usable when you're on the go, easy to scan QR codes, all that stuff. So that's going to be important once it's built into the mobile wallets.
I'm not sure what Daddy O's talking about. He says, aren't these just the series dates, not the specifically print dates? I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Well, yeah, I mean, a bill that says 2020 could have been printed in 2019.
Oh, I see what he's saying.
2020
Oh,
circulation.
you're talking about the bills. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Good question. I don't know that. Okay, so then HIN says, I have a question for you. You say crypto is privacy, but the government can trace crypto and paper money can keep you private. So that's what we're talking about is MWeb is a privacy option. There are privacy coins or privacy options within crypto. And that's what Johnny's talking about is MWeb is an option within. So there's Litecoin, which is open.
Main chain Litecoin.
That you can see the main chain of Litecoin, but then you can move your Litecoin off chain, which is a parallel chain, into, it's like putting it in.
It's woven into the base layer, but they consider it an extension block. That's why it's Wimble extension block, MWeb. And so you can see in every block, the last transaction in each block is the peg in and peg out of the what's going in and out of MWeb. So you could see, these addresses moved value into MWeb. Then once it's in there, it gives you that privacy. That's what we're talking about is giving people solutions. He's correct. With Bitcoin on chain or Ethereum on chain, there is no privacy. They can see everything you can do. And that's the kind of the issue with like a MetaMask or something as it's connecting into all these things. It's like, well, that's great. But now they see everything you've ever done. Oh, I'm sure they won't give that info to the bad guys. I'm sure they'll keep that private. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. So again, we just need these solutions that enable privacy. Now, full privacy is like, it has some benefits. It's not really scalable. So it's a lot. Usually the coins that are the most private can't have nearly as much throughput. Again, I said much harder to audit the system. But also, too, there is a lot of crackdowns from the bad guys on any of these centralized exchanges. So you don't want to hurt the liquidity of a coin. Like I always said, you want it to work for everybody. You want it to work for the centralized system as well, because you want people to easily be able to move money in and out. That's what's beautiful about Litecoin. the exchange can say, well, we don't support MWeb. They don't have to, because you can send value from an MWeb address right into that exchange. So no exchange would ever have to support it in theory. But you can still be sending value from the MWeb layer, because it lets you send value from the layer to any address.
To any address. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would make the choice to send from privacy. So it could give you privacy, but the person receiving doesn't have control of that kind of thing. As long as you're receiving Litecoin, you're not the one in control of whether somebody's sending you a private coin or an open coin.
Correct. Now, the other advantage would be if you were getting donations or anything and you had a even for a payment situation. Like I always talked about, we used to set up those payment signs, and I was like, this is great. The payment sign, people could send Litecoin into that address. Well, if you're smart and you sit there, you could sit in the parking lot and be analyzing the blockchain, that wallet address specifically, every block. Then you're like, oh, shoot, someone just sent a payment in from an address that has a ton of Litecoin in there, Bitcoin in there. Wow. That was that person that just walked up. I'm going to wait till they leave, and I'm going to go rob them in the parking lot.
Right.
It could definitely happen. A security risk. So now you can just get payments into a stagnant address, but nobody can tell how much came in. So now another side, on the flip side, you don't want to be the store owner. Say you're using that wallet and say you like the wallet. You say, I'm just keeping all my Litecoin in here. Well, you might accumulate hundreds of Litecoin, and then all of a sudden someone's like, you got hundreds of Litecoin in that wallet in there. That's like advertising, hey, we have $50,000 cash sitting around in here. Like,
yeah.
You tell that to the wrong people. They're like, well, gee,
I remember the first time, very early on in crypto, and I thought I had sent a Litecoin to Rob D for the Litecoin lottery thing. And I was like, hey, I entered and he goes, no, you didn't. I said, yeah, I think I did. And he was like, send me your address. And then he was like, oh no, this was during this time of something that was, and he said that I sent it to somebody else's, like he knew whose address I sent it to, who recognized the address. And it was like for, I don't know if it was somebody else's Christmas thing or something. And I was like, what? And I mean, it was a real education for me. And it was cool that he could see who it went to and where it went and whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I learned how that open technology stuff worked.
Yeah.
But it kind of freaked me out at the same time. I was like, wait a minute, how are you seeing all my other stuff in there too? And he's like, no, the last time you sent me was here. And I was like, what? I felt a little like.
And I use the example, I say, do you want to walk around and divulge your bank account balance?
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
And people feel like, no, their bank account, they deserve privacy for that. I'm like, okay, well, crypto is the same thing. You deserve privacy for your crypto, just like your precious bank account that obviously the bad guys can see. But do you want your friends, peers, you want to walk around and say, hey, I have this much? People safeguard that. They think, oh, so we need that same experience in the digital realm. And that's where I think we're trying to go with it, is that we're not trying to take your cash or anything that you're used to. It's just that if we don't enable and promote this stuff and talk to people about it, the bad guys are just going to walk in and it's like they got the keys of the kingdom. Like, no one wants this privacy. No one wants this stuff. We'll just take over the place.
Yeah, Westwood has a great point.
Easy for them.
Yeah, he said it's like having your Venmo set on public. There was a I don't know if it was a news article or something, but it was like a an art. You know, everything's art now. But it was at this expo thing, and they had it was a virtual or an ATM, and it had, you walk up and it was some social thing, and it had like a billboard thing, and it had whoever, somehow it connected with your phone or whatever, and it had, I don't know if it was Venmo or Cash App or whatever, and it had like a leaderboard of whoever had the highest, I don't know, it was a bank account or Cash App or Venmo or whatever, but whoever's balance was the highest. And then people started like hitting on these people who had like the highest dollar amount in their bank account or whatever. It was like a dating thing. And I was like, that's just creepy and wrong. And I don't know. It was super weird. But that's where like you would be so vulnerable if people like, what's in your wallet? That's
Yeah.
like makes you vulnerable.
It does.
For sure.
It does.
For sure. You don't want everybody knowing all your business.
So yeah, I guess in conclusion, Lisa, we need privacy. We do have the inalienable right to privacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the banking industrial complex, who's in cahoots with the people that set up Operation Choke Point, the world global elites, they don't want us to have it. But just think about what's your right, your God-given right, your right as a citizen. What is this stuff? We do have the right to privacy. So thank God there's some people fighting for us out there in Congress. Thank God. If not, it'd be really scary.
Yeah. So support them and make sure that you're letting your voice be heard. When you see representatives, like Tom Emmer, speaking out for you, like send him an attaboy, if he's in your, state, or if you, can reach out to him.
Retweet those guys, promote them, give them our support, because as much as we want to get the people we don't like, let's promote people, especially the people in crypto that are actually trying to promote good stuff for us.
Yeah. Caitlin Long, Cynthia Loomis. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are really fighting for the truth and for freedom. And I think those are the things that we can get behind, and build new things, do those kind of things. So I think that's all positive stuff that we can work on together. Well, thank you, Johnny. And thanks for showing us those cool silver certificates. That's like really cool. I love seeing some history, American history today. So
happy to give a history lesson.
Yeah, that's cool. I also heard, so today is the anniversary of Superman coming out, and I had a friend of mine, his one of his clients was in the new Avatar movie, and that's one of Nana's favorite movies. So you guys go check out the Blue Monkey movie. I don't know if it's only out in Australia or if it's out here too, but I'll be watching for that. So we can check that out. Lots of good stuff coming out. And the Get Your Trump collectible NFT on Polygon/Matic, $99 at, let's see, collecttrumpcards.com.
I do know how to use Matic, so if people need help using it, DM me and I'll help you move funds into the Polygon layer.
Yeah, and you can actually buy it with a credit card and an email. If you don't know how to if you don't know how to crypto yet. So they're making it super easy for even normies to buy, which I thought was interesting.
That is key. You got to make it easy for normies you got to meet normies where they're at.
Yep. So there we go. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow on Happy Hour. Make sure to go check out Den Social. There's a link in the description, and give me your thoughts on the whole Puerto Rico thing, and leave a comment on the post for this week so that you can get some lot tomorrow on Happy Hour. Take care. Bye.